yo siempre pues, yo no tengo experiencia en esto, para mí esto es nuevo, o sea, como digo, yo era una de las personas que igual, o sea, nomás estaba en mi casa mirando que pasaban casos, y eso yo siempre digo, qué mal, porque me pasó a mí, entonces yo pasa seguido, entonces yo ahorita de que ya pasó esto a mi esposo, o sea, yo si a alguien más le pasa, yo siempre estoy ahí apoyando y sintiendo el dolor de esa gente, porque lo sientes, cuando ya te pasa algo, tú lo sientes también, y te da tanto para decir, ¿cómo puede ser posible que sigan haciendo lo mismo? O sea, porque a mí me dijo la muchacha, la que grabó el video, me dijo, María, tu esposo no estaba haciendo nada. Tu esposo no estaba haciendo nada. No hizo nada.
She said your husband wasn't doing anything. He didn't do nothing. He didn't deserve this. He was hogtied and handcuffed when they beat him to death.
So, Border Patrol, just don't get me started on Border Patrol. This is the most abusive regime that exists. The least training, the least accountability whatsoever. They get away with murder quite literally. Like, there's no process after they kill somebody for any kind of independent, rigorous investigation and accountability process. It doesn't exist. It's insane. The goal is not to have a really careful, human rights oriented, well-trained, safety mechanism at the border. It's to have some trigger happy, nuts keep the border scary, right? And it's working. It's working because we keep seeing them do this and get away with it over and over again.
There's like no real distinction between border patrol and like police. They're all enforcers of the same system. So it's I always kind of chuckle when people are all shocked about police brutality when the violence in the border at the hands of law enforcement has been going on for years. So it's kind of like people don't understand it until they feel it for themselves, and they try to like stratify it, like, oh no, this is worse than this, and this is worse than this, but it's like, it's the same enforcers for the same system. They don't like any of us the same.
Police brutality ain't nothing new. So I still remember the Oakland rioters. So man, I've been dealing with the police since technically I was about like 14 years old. I'm getting harassed since I was about 14, but because of how I look, it's not really a surprise. I think the first time that I really lost all respect for the police, I was probably about 16 years old. I was with my cousin, and my cousin had a bad reputation. They pulled us over, they put me in handcuffs, and they beat me up. And you don't know, you lose respect you lose complete respect for somebody when you're a little kid being beat up by like 3-4 grown men. I can't even describe how it felt. It made me feel some type of way. And for my whole life I've been getting harassed by the police. I've never in my life thought that the police was for us. I've never felt like the police was there strictly to help me.
I don't remember exactly where it was in Hayward or I don't know where, but we were at this woman's house, so my dad would bring a ball or something so we can play in the parking lot because we weren't allowed. Well, we didn't want to bother my mom and her during her work stuff. So we would bring balls or just things to distract us. But these white kids were messing with us and they were throwing things at us. So I don't remember what it was. So my dad told them to leave us alone. And then they left and they were just being mean or whatever. I don't remember what, me and my sister. And then next thing you know, they were rallying up all of the men that were of color in that apartment complex, including my father. The cops came and they grabbed them and they have them all on the wall. We didn't know what was happening. We're like, what happened? And so those kids said that my dad pulled a gun or a knife on them. And yeah, it's crazy. So my dad's like, we didn't pull no knife on them. So they went through every one of them. It was like a group of, I don't know, like 10 guys or something that were on the wall. And so they picked my dad out, of course, because he's the one that told them something. And we had like a little bucket, like a little Toyota hatchback bucket. And they're like, yeah, it was you. And they asked him, do you have anything in the car? Do you have a knife or anything? And so he remembered that, you know, in order to cut the sandia, he had a knife, and it was like a kitchen knife. So he said, actually, yeah, I do have a kitchen knife in there because of X, Y, and Z. And they didn't believe him. Well, anyways, they found the knife, and I don't remember what happened after that. We were crying, and we felt really bad. And then my dad like told us that it was our fault because we were messing with those kids, and he had to say something. And then my mom came, and it was like super embarrassing for her, and all this stuff. But yeah, I remember that was a big thing. It was like being stereotyped, us being in the position of like feeling helpless and so scared. We didn't know what was gonna happen.
Taking the black male out of the family is something that they've been doing for years. That was like one of the best ways to keep us under control. You know, the best way to destroy the family is to take the male component completely out the family, whether it's demasculating him in front of his family, you know, or taking them away and killing them, or placing them in jail and keeping them away from the family. You know, they've been doing that since slavery.
Ha sido mucho sufrimiento,
So
mucho,
much suffering.
más con los niños, que
More for her children.
yo digo, ¿cuándo les voy a dar un papá?
They keep asking when are they going to see their dad.
Sin poder hacer mucho, porque yo lo estuve en terapias y todo, pero
She's like unable to do a whole lot because she's had him in therapy even since this has happened.
pues, era su papá, entonces eso no lo puede curar ningún terapeuta.
There's no real healing from somebody taking away your father. It's like, how can you heal from that, from having your father taken away?
Just knowing that you're one interaction away from being in jail or being detained or being shipped off to some detention center or Guantanamo or whatever. You just one interaction away from it. So it's like being a runaway slave or being constantly on parole. That's the only feeling I guess I can describe, you know? Like you just one interaction with law enforcement. Like, you know, that's all it takes.
I think they create a big fear in our communities. Instead of being, you know, even from when we're little, it's like, oh, if you don't behave, la policía is gonna take you. Or is it whatever, ahí está la policía. Like, you know, you get that since you're little, so it's like we know it's a bad thing. And it's not a bad thing in like a safe kind of way, it's just like bad. Like they're gonna take you and you're like, it's a wrap for you. So I guess, yeah, I feel like they bring a huge like fear into our families, into our communities, and they're just toxic. It's like we've never seen where they have helped us till this day, at least personally.
I think when people get things mistaken, they say upliftment in their community, as in especially people who are not from these areas, to, oh, I want to stop the violence. That's fine. Oh, I want to make it a better place to live. That's fine. But then the question is, who are you stopping the violence for? Who are you making this a better place to live for? Is it for the people who originally came in this community? Or is it people who want to live in this community who are not from this community? You know what I'm saying? So when you say I want to bring in businesses in this community, to serve who? You know, when you say I want to build new developments as an apartment in this community, to serve who? You know, when you say I want to stop the violence in this community, to serve who?
You know, 24th and Mission, right before, you know, when they were trying to clean that area up and make a way for this new gentries to come in, they did a gang injunction. And Sacramento, they did a gang injunction. Echo Park, Boyle Heights, you know, all these communities that are like ripe for gentrification. The first thing they come do is attack the community with a gang injunction.
And gang injunctions are, they target the folks in the community, the worst of the worst, they say. And basically, if you're on probation or not, they have the right to pull you over, search you. They have the right to tell you not where where to go, who not to talk to, or what colors you could wear. So I spent a whole day in San Francisco one time, and I came back to Oakland. Right when I hit Oakland on 27th Avenue, I seen a cop drive by and hit a U-turn, and I was just thinking back in my head, like, I still, you know, I got nervous. I know I'm legit, but I hit 2 blocks, and then just a swarm of cars, like 7 cars, pulled up on me, you know, put out a gun. I'm with my girlfriend, and they're telling me to get out. And so I'm getting out the car, and I'm like, is this all necessary? You know, I'm by myself with my girlfriend. They're like, you're a gang member. You're on the gang injunction. And as they were cuffing me, it made me, my hair stand up on my neck, because a rookie cop came behind me and was shaking. He was shaking, you could hear the cuffs shaking. And I'm like, whoa. So my back, I froze. And I'm like, officer, why are you shaking? He said, because you're a gang member, you might shoot all of us right here.
They target, you know, most of the time there's these families that have been there for generations and generations, and usually a lot of times they have their own property, and you know, it's basically, you know, just trying to destabilize that whole community and make way for the new wave of new folks with new money to come in.
It seems like it's just a trap to bring you back into that system, because if you go out there and you talk to another person on a gang injunction, they could pull you over, give you a ticket. If they see it again, they could give you 6 months up in the county jail. And then you lose your house, you lose your car, you lose your job, and then that brings like a cycle of going back to your old ways, because when folks tend to see your past, they don't want to hire you.
You know, once you find a job that is either unaware or you're able to work around your immigration status, you're pretty much stuck there, you know? Because there's no job security, because the minute you quit or try to find another job, even if you're qualified, even if you have the education and degrees, it's like you still gotta jump that hurdle of whether or not your status is gonna come into play.
Prison system, that's the new slavery. Imperialism, neo-colonialism, that's the new slavery. When you look at pop culture is the new slavery, especially with the minds of young folks.
The way I approach immigration is not a problem, it's a symptom of problems. And those problems are imperialism, those problems are capitalism, white supremacy, and the new world order.
Yo dije, o sea, esto no se tiene que quedar así. Voy a salir.
This cannot stay this way. We have to have justice.
Y ahorita lo que yo siempre, yo tengo mucho coraje.
She's very angry. Very, 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 very angry.
Mucho coraje porque dejaron a mis hijos sin su padre.
Because they left my kids without a father.
Yo por ellos estoy aquí y busco.
I'm here for them.
Y voy a seguir hasta que.
And I'm going to continue until there's justice.